sugar, spice, and everything.
Bryce.
These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect
YouTube series.
But Professor
Mundane.
accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction. Chemical
Tea.
Thus,
This week in Philadelphia sports was born. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports, where we go over everything that happened this week in Philadelphia sports. Again. If you're new around here, guys, and you enjoy this sort of content, make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. I can almost actually don't know what that would taste like, but we're almost there. So if you're not subscribed already, just hitting that red button means the absolute world to us. We're going to kick things off with some very sad news. I'm sure you've all seen it by now, but former Eagles defensive end Chris Long has decided to hang up the cleats once and for all after a stunning NFL career that almost stems as long as I've been alive. Well, almost. Long was a second overall pick back in 2008, spent 8 years with the team that drafted him, the St. Louis Rams, before moving out to New England to win his first Super Bowl, and then the rest is history. Long came to Philadelphia, won back-to-back rings, and the year after that went on to win the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, as well as helping the team get back to the playoffs for the second consecutive season. But it's not just what Long does on the field, as we all know, is highlighted by that award. He's such a tremendous influence in terms of charities and communities. This is a man that donated his entire 2017 salary to help him promote educational equality. A man that climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with Bo Allen, helped in just about every charitable way to improve the quality of life within the city of Philadelphia as possible. Long is just an irreplaceable man. He had 11.5 sacks within the last 2 years with the Philadelphia Eagles and played over 50% of snaps in both as well. Replacing him on the field is one thing, replacing him off of it, it's just something else. You're not going to replace a man that is that impactful. And let's not forget that he may be, if you're going to talk man crushes for NFL players, he's going to be up there for a lot of people, so you've got to lose that as well. But in all seriousness though, Chris Long was just an incredible athlete. I can't remember the last time someone who's got into an organisation and within 2 seasons has become a fan favourite through selflessness, through kindness, without the antics and the flashiness and the stardom. Long just works hard to be kind and give back to everyone that gives so much to him, and it's incredible. So he really is a role model for not just younger NFL players, but for other people as well, for kids watching the game and seeing what he does off the field. It's really incredible stuff. I'm sure I speak for a lot of people when I say that Chris Long is going to be undoubtedly missed by just about everyone in Philadelphia and all of the other NFL teams that have come into contact with him. Long is a true class human being through and through. And in regards to what the Eagles do on the field, well, this is where it gets interesting. I put an article out on Philly Sports Network recently saying, have the Eagles done enough to replace both Chris Long and Michael Bennett? And this is where we could see some late movement from Howie Roseman. Graham and Barnett are fantastic as starters. Then you've got Vinny Curry, and then it's either Sharif Miller, the rookie, who is still fairly one-dimensional and raw. It's either Josh Sweat, who we still don't know what he's capable of, or Joe Ostman, the practice squad hero that the Eagles coaching staff are raving about. So you are going to need maybe at least another defensive end or two to solidify that core. I don't think this unit is as ready to go as it was last year, or especially in 2017. And while they may have negated the Chris Long loss with Vinny Curry, that Michael Bennett one is still outstanding. So will Howie Roseman come up trumps and bring in a late free agent? My heart was set on Ziggy Ansah. That's gone. Only time will tell, but as of right now, it's going to be a very exciting offseason where youth is the way forward. What will Josh Sweat and Sharif Miller provide? OTAs kick off next week, and I'm sure we'll bring plenty of content for you. Talking about depth, the Eagles also brought back Stefan Wisniewski, which I still find to be a little bit puzzling, even though I fully agree with the move. Now, the Eagles, of course, extended Isaac Seumalo. Jason Kelsey comes back for another year, but with the uncertainty surrounding Brandon Brooks, there was some question marks over who would start at right guard. Would Matt Pryor make the step up, or would it be someone else? And Wisniewski, who has spent a couple of years pounding the table wanting to be a starter, and deservedly so, has decided to come back after not signing anywhere else. Now let's not forget that Wisniewski was benched during the heart of 2018 for no reason. Like, I still don't understand that move. It felt a little bit political. Wisniewski was understandably very frustrated at the apparent benching when he was clearly one of the only offensive linemen not turning into a human turnstile for a couple of weeks. But Wisniewski, of course, won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. He was a crucial part of that team and has been for the last couple of years. So bringing him back makes sense. He's versatile enough to play wherever the Eagles need him to. And if Brandon Brooks can't go in week 1, they have an insurance policy there. They bring back that veteran leadership, and make no mistake, that's all 5 players who were on that Super Bowl winning offensive line are back in the fold, and that's just got a nice togetherness feel to it, hasn't it? What does this mean for my favourite polar bear, Matt Pryor? I don't know. He's an absolute behemoth when you look at how he stands, and he's versatile. He's played at every spot on the TCU offensive line. Maybe he becomes the eventual heir to that backup spot. Only time will tell. Our final bit of Eagles news this week, as we touched on earlier with a video and God knows how many articles, is that Joe Douglas may be on the way out. The New York Jets fired Mike McGann. By that I just mean Mike Mackigan. And with Joe Douglas having a reported affiliation with Adam Gase due to their time together in Chicago, it's been speculated for around a month or so now that Douglas would jump ship to take a GM role, and this all comes down, as I said in that video, to what Joe Douglas wants. Does he want to be a general manager? Because if he does, Howie Roseman's just not going anywhere anytime soon. That is the biggest roadblock imaginable. It is a traffic cone the size of Mount Kilimanjaro, if that's the theme for today. Of course, if Joe Douglas does decide to take that job in what is a bizarre situation after firing him after such a strong offseason, there's a good chance he'll bring Andy Wilder with him as well, who also followed Douglas from Baltimore. The two have been BFFL for quite some time now, and Wilder's been one of Douglas's most trusted talent evaluators, and that's reflected by his position in the team. So it could be an off-season of yet more turnover for the front office, but it's one they're prepared for. And finally, as we said before, OTAs start this week. They kick off on Tuesday the 21st through the 23rd, then I think the next ones are the 26th till the 28th. And don't forget, daily coverage from phillysportsnetwork.com. I'll be doing my best to bring up recaps and everything from what I can source from people who are out there, as well as video content and photos and all the rest of it as well. But if you're not subscribed, it's even more reason to. And again, articles are where you're going to get the heart of that content at phillysportsnetwork.com. On to the Sixers, and hey Siri, play Everybody Hurts by R.E.M. A last second buzzer beater as Game of Thrones is taking place. It's like a train wreck. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. What do you watch? Do you choose Kawhi Leonard breaking thousands of hearts at once, or do you watch the Game of Thrones writers breaking thousands of hearts at once? It was a disaster and a real shame, and it's unfortunate because I'm talking Game of Thrones with that, by the way. Sixers push the Toronto Raptors to their limits all the way to the final seconds, the split seconds of Game 7, where Kawhi Leonard just did a Kawhi Leonard. It brings up an interesting debate. There is a very strong offseason ahead where the Sixers could potentially lose Jimmy Buckets, Tobias Harris, Big Bobby, TJ McConnell, Corkman, James Ennis, JJ Redick, who is the second in Philadelphia man crushes that we've already established. So the Sixers front office are going to have to act pretty quickly if they're to keep many of that starting 5, which, I mean, Redick, Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, then you're just down to Embiid and Simmons again. I feel like the Sixers have lost their identity at this point, and I'm not the biggest basketball guy, so if I'm wrong, feel free to shout me down. But it's like there was a phase coming out of the process where it was all on the youth. You had Simmons, you had Embiid, you had Fultz, and whatever bizarre nickname it was, the three policemen or whatever that was cool. You had TJ McConnell, you had Korkmaz, and then they go out and they have a stellar draft where they acquire Landry Shamet, who's just turned into a prolific three-point shooter, funnily enough not on the team. And then they went, oh no, we've got to win now, and then Colangelo came in, and then it was JJ Redick, and then we had Jimmy Buckets, and it was Tobias Harris, and it was this sudden rush of panic, like, we've got to win. And it's somehow lost, because you get to the playoffs, and Ben Simmons disappears, Joel Embiid stop eating Oreos and putting them in cheeseburgers, and there's just a disappearance of that talent. So all of a sudden, Jimmy Butler has to carry the entire unit, the most experienced player on the court at times, and now you're in danger of losing that again. Are the Sixers close to getting to a finals appearance? Probably, yeah, but if we take a closer look at the spectrum, they need to decide, are we winning now, or are we developing the youth? Because right now, it's like 1 minute they're on one side of the fence, the next minute they're clearly on the other, and like you rush together a starting 5 that play about 6 minutes together, and then have to go and face the Toronto Raptors for 7 games. There's gonna be chemistry issues. Then you've got the Brett Brown debate. Should he be returning as head coach? Should he not? Should he be in jeopardy? God knows. It's a really strange vibe. I can't put my finger on what's going on. I can't be the only one that feels this way. They've got this happy middle ground at the minute, and they've got to go either one way or the other. You're either all in and you let Embiid and Simmons develop going in towards that next year, or you go out and you acquire someone like a Klay Thompson. You either retain Jimmy Buckets, you keep Tobias Harris, and you go for the chemistry and build that team into challenge. On to the Phillies. Okay, get it? Okay, because I'm a known around 12 12 Ks because he just struck out. Oh. The Phillies seem to be clicking at the right time, although they're still 6-4 in their last 10 games. Which is what, 3 weeks in a row they've been 6-4 in their last 10, which I don't understand. That's quite a coinky dink, isn't it? But Bryce Harper hit a home run yesterday, which I have never heard a bat and a ball make that kind of sound. It sounded like a steel chair shot from WrestleMania 27. I've never heard that kind of impact. So Bryce Harper's back. He's running around doing Bryce Harper things, which is just as well, because the city was that close to a breakdown. And then Aaron Nola comes back after realising he apparently can't pitch in colder temperatures and just throws 12 strikeouts, flashes his little hair like that, and the Phillies bullpen is magically fixed. And Cole Irvin exists, and Jay Smoot at our website, cheap plug, phillysportsnetwork.com, has been breaking down how he could be in line to become a solid rotational piece in that bullpen, and who can blame him? His next 4 opponents are favourable. The Phillies are looking up. As for the Philadelphia Flyers, let's just check in on the latest news there. Thanks. The Philadelphia Union drew yesterday with the Seattle Sounders 0-0. That's a big time result. They're undefeated, I think, in their last 5 games now, and they're still challenging at the top of the Eastern Conference. Seattle was second in the West, the Union second in the East. They clashed, and like rock meets iron, there was a neutralised impact and 0-0. So the Philadelphia Union are looking good. Unlike my soccer team, Charlton Athletic, who are through to the playoffs, which is completely irrelevant to anything in this show. But I couldn't go a video without mentioning it, really. And finally, the Philadelphia Soul are not on a roll. They dropped a game. This is not a troll. They did not stroll. And the former AFL champions are not looking in a position to take control. But that is it for the end of this week in Philadelphia sports, guys. If you're new around here, if you like this sort of content, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. I think a bell pops up as well, so hit that, because that apparently lets you know when we upload. From myself, Liam Jenkins, you can follow me on Twitter and have a go. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the hair there, but you can have a go at that on my Twitter, at Liam Jenkins 21. I'll see you next time.